The weather outside may be frightful, but here on the CNNMoney.com set, it's so delightful because I have Howard Lindzen live in the flesh from Stockton.
How are
here
you?
for today's
It's cold.
BullHorn. It is very
Wet.
cold and snowy outside. We're going to talk all about semiconductors today.
Right.
You had CES last week, a lot of excitement about chips in various mobile devices that were all unveiled. But the big news, I think, this week from the semiconductor sector, Intel and NVIDIA, which have been battling for a while, settling their legal disputes, and Intel going to be paying NVIDIA $1.5 billion in licensing fees. What does this mean for both companies going forward, you think?
I think it's not so much about what it means for them as it means for the industry, the mobile industry. It's combined with the CEO of AMD leaving. You're basically seeing everybody raising their hands and saying the desktop is dead, and that the war that's going to be fought in the future is going to be mobile, which a lot of the early money was betting on already. If you look at Atmel and MIPS, and you look at Qualcomm, which did that acquisition of Atheros, everybody's positioning to be all the silicon that goes inside these mobile phones.
So you mentioned AMD and their CEO stepping down, so to speak. What is the implication of the leadership change at AMD? I mean, we've talked about in the past, I've seen Larry Ellison at Oracle saying he's interested in a chip company. People immediately speculated that AMD could be the one he's targeting. Is AMD now takeover chum, or is the new manager going to have time to turn things around?
Well, we don't know what's going on in the boardroom. A lot of egos, old company, and nobody likes to walk away from probably $1 million jobs, so there's got to be a real reason under the wear. But if we're going to play speculator, AMD is in the business of the desktop.
Right.
The new world is the business of the handheld. And it's not fun being like the ninth guy into a party. So, maybe they just felt he just had no future control over how to get AMD as a relevant company in this new world of mobile.
Right.
And so that could just be a simple reason why. And they also said he wasn't interested in the job, and the board's just getting it ready for sale. You never know.
Right.
Never know.
Yeah. Moving on, the final part of the chip puzzle this week, you talked about Qualcomm, Atheros. There's another interesting acquisition earlier this week with Standard Micro buying Conexant. I've seen actually some rumors circulating this morning about PMC Sierra possibly being in play. Is the chip sector an area that you think, because of the growth in mobile and the fact that there are a lot of little niche mobile chip companies, is that going to be a very attractive area for takeovers for 2011?
It feels like it should. You have a weak U.S. dollar still relative, so and a lot of these companies need to be global. So you have acquirers from overseas who want to be in the handset market, whether it be Nokia and all the the handsets from overseas. I mean, there's so many possibilities. The other possibility is that everybody fights to make sure that Apple gets all their products from one place.
Right.
And that's a battle that'll be war. Same with the droids. So I think you're going to see hundreds of acquisitions. I think companies' balance sheets are in great shape. Companies haven't been investing in fabs for 10 years since the semiconductor bubble. So there's almost like a perfect storm. And people have just forgotten about the chip sectors. Back in 2000, that was the bubble sector.
Exactly.
10 years later, nobody believes in it anymore, and there's all this activity. Very difficult for the average investor to understand all the different players and components. But again, a trend is a trend, and it's easier to make money in a trend like there are right now. But you got to stick with the names that are at the top of the leaderboard, because as a small investor, you can't possibly do the work that the institutions are doing.